Hey y'all. Well, welcome to the show. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but welcome to the second episode of Alternate Economy Wednesday. I do appreciate you for joining me. Hope y'all can hear me okay. I think I'm getting all the kinks worked out with this. So let me know if you can. All right, so sorry about that. Oh, crap. All right, I got more stuff coming on. So, anyways, I just wanted to get on tonight. I've got some new things to discuss. A lot has happened since I did the show last Wednesday. One of the things that I want to talk about is some of the local businesses here in Eastern Washington are starting to stand up. Like I mentioned last week, some of them have had their liquor board license threatened. Now they're threatening taking that away. The liquor control board here in Washington State is threatening that. So I've gone in actually and had a couple of conversations with the owners of some of these businesses about what their goals are, how long are they going to stay open, what is their plan. And one of the things that we've come up with is that some of them have said they're not going to close down. They might have, one of them that I spoke with closed down temporarily, just to kind of figure out exactly how they're going to do things, but they don't want to close down. So I've talked to them about what happens when they pull your liquor license. That means you're not going to be able to get liquor through a distributor through the traditional ways. So you're going to have to look somewhere else. So I've actually contacted, for example, locally, like a local homebrewers club, to see if anyone's willing to step up, if they have some supplies already. If not, they want to start brewing now to be able to sell those, some of their supplies to some of these businesses, some of these bars and restaurants that might have their liquor licenses pulled, so they won't be able to get those supplies through the traditional means anymore. So that's kind of what I've been working on, just kind of planting the seeds. A lot of this stuff is really new to everyone, and people are really scared right now. It's really hard to talk about some of these issues that for a long time we've all been thinking that this isn't the right way to do things, but now we're starting to realize, because of all the oppression that we're seeing, we're starting to realize that if we want to be free, we just have to live free and not ask permission anymore. So that's kind of what I'm trying to establish with some of these businesses, and what I've discussed with them is working with. I actually went and got, one of my buddies has some brewing supplies that he's not using. I used to brew my own beer when I was younger, so I went and arranged with him to get some of his supplies and start brewing again. It's going to take a while. If I remember right, it's going to take at least like 8 weeks before it's ready, my first batch, and that's if I got started today. But hey, in about 8 weeks, I can have some beer for maybe one of these restaurants or bars that's starting to getting threats from the liquor control board, and maybe I'll be able to supply them with some beer, so they can still supply, so they can still provide the service that they're providing to their community. So that's one of the things there. So I just wanted to show you, just for example, what I did, and this is something anybody can do this. Anybody that's a concerned citizen in your local community, anyone can do this. So this is something that I've done here locally. Is I contacted, for example, let me get it pulled up here. I'm gonna go to this one. So locally in Eastern Washington, it's called Inland Brewers Unite. This is a local home brewing club, just people that like to brew their own beer. So I contacted this club to see if anybody is interested, if anybody has any stocks. I know when I used to brew, I used to have quite a bit of extra beer around, so maybe some of these people already have some to supply. If not, maybe they want to get started on brewing their own, so they can do like what I'm thinking about doing, what I'm not planning on doing. But this is how we advance this new economy, is this underground economy, is we just got to start doing it. We don't ask permission. We just start doing what we think is right, and we follow the non-aggression principle. As long as no one's being hurt, no property is being damaged or stolen from someone else, and no one is being defrauded, then there should be no force used against us. We should be left to do as we please. That's what freedom is, and I know it feels a little bit uncomfortable to some people because it's not what we're used to. We're used to having to ask permission, but we got to start thinking about things completely differently now. So like I said, you can get on. I just typed in like local homebrew clubs on DuckDuckGo, and it came up, with a list, I don't know, some group I could go to, and that's how I found this. I looked in Washington State for homebrew clubs, and I found one in Spokane, and I contacted them. I reached out. I haven't heard anything back yet. Like I said, a lot of these people are scared, not just the businesses that are opening, but people like this that I'm reaching out to. They might be interested in it, but they're also scared of what might happen to them, because the government's going to start cracking down on everybody that tries to live free and doesn't just live the way the predator class wants us to live. So, we have to really push this though and start reaching out, because like I said, people are scared and they need reassurances that things are going to be okay and that we can help and we can be there for them and we can support each other as a community. All right, so I want to move on. One of the other things that's really important during this, it's not just about setting up an economy and learning how to, have business transactions outside of the current system that we have. It's also about being able to sustain for yourself. I assume everybody watching like a show like this probably has done some prepping, at least a minimal amount of prepping. But this isn't going to end what's happening. If you decide not to get a vaccine, if you decide not to participate in this new technocracy, the medical technocracy system, the Great Reset, then you're going to have to be outside of the system. So it's not just about having stores of food for like 6 months and things like that. It's about how are you going to be able to sustain yourself and keep providing food for yourself outside of the system, because they're not going to allow us to go into stores where the general public is if we refuse to get a vaccine eventually. I mean, they're already telling us that. So we need to start preparing for that. And one of the channels I followed him for a little while, is Ice Age Farmer. He's pretty popular. I'm sure several people have heard about him. But he put out a video pretty recently. And there was something that I caught in there about, with this underground economy, there's some people that are leaving and going to places like Mexico, going to places, North Idaho, where I'm close to. A lot of people are moving in this area because they think they can, sustain some freedom for a little bit longer in these areas. And that may be possible. But there's also people that don't have the ability to move like that. So for those people, it's really important to... they have to start establishing underground economies where they are. Like where I am, my situation, it's not really easy for me to just pick up and move. I'd love to go down to Mexico, to some of these places being set up in Mexico with a voluntarist type lifestyle. I'd love to be able to do that, but right now in my life that's not possible, so I kind of have to stay in this area. That being said, this video I'm going to play a little bit here from the Ice Age Farmer. He talks about a guy in Memphis, Tennessee that had the same situation. He couldn't necessarily leave, or he just decided, no, this is where I am, this is where I'm staying, this is where I live. I'm not gonna leave. I have no reason to. So it's reasons like that I want to talk about these, because this guy did something really cool. I'm just going to play the video, but he started talking to elderly people in his area that have gardens or yards that maybe they weren't being used, and asked them about setting up gardens in their areas and sharing the fruits of his labor with them. So it's a great way to provide for yourself and others as well. So this is, if you live in an urban area and you don't think you're going to be able to leave, or you don't want to leave, these are the things you need to start thinking about, start connecting with members of your community about, so that you'll have the food that you need and you can provide for others, and that'll make you valuable to your community. And that's what this underground economy is about. It's not about how much currency you have. The currency in this kind of economy is the value you as a person can put forth to the community, as well as your resources and things like that. But it's really about what you as a person contribute as well. So when you start thinking about that, I'm going to be quiet and go ahead and play this clip here. You have the currency in this kind of economy is the value.
Another great conversation I had was with an urban farmer Adrian, who lives in Memphis, and said, look, this is my place. I'm not leaving. I understand what's going on. I know about the grand solar minimum. I know we have food challenges ahead of us, but I'm not leaving Memphis. And he instead decided to align with elderly people in his community who had space for gardens. Another great conversation who had gardens that had fallen into disrepair. Urban farmer who trail who to continue lives in Memphis and said, "Look, this is my place. I'm not leaving. I understand what's going on. I know up to grand solar minimum. I know we have food challenges ahead of us. I'd love to help you out here. Bring it back to Memphis." And he instead decided to align with elderly people in his community who had the rest space for another great conversation. Had started CSA with that thing, and eventually that kind of income can replace your jobs. Another person I talked to started farming crickets. That is another thing I did on this channel way back in the early days when I was in San Francisco and I had nothing to work with. I didn't even own the place. And I started farming crickets in my closet as a source of protein. To this day, there's a video on this channel of me salting and adding a little bit of garlic to some crickets, and actually, I have to be fair, it was delicious. My problem isn't with eating insects, it's with forcing people to eat insects, just to be very clear about this whole situation. Someone who watched that episode started farming grasshoppers and eventually was able to quit his job by virtue of the fact that you can sell these things. People on Craigslist that have iguanas or whatever lizards, I don't even know, but there are things that eat crickets, and people already are paying to get crickets. Usually they're paying the big box pet stores who we should be depriving of income. So these are opportunities to take protein production or small scale farming, again, in your closet farming crickets, and start to not only free yourself as an entrepreneur, find these new diverse streams of income, and start growing protein, but remove the power from the big box pet stores and start transferring it to this distributed model of food production. So I found all of that really inspiring and just wanted to share a few of these stories with you. All of this just to underscore.
All right, so I'm going to stop that there. You get the idea. It's just like I said about thinking outside the box, and I apologize, y'all. I didn't realize I had the volume that's actually going through the stream here on as well, so hopefully that wasn't too bothersome. I did have it turned down, but hopefully it wasn't bugging you guys too much while that video was playing. So a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Like I said, if you're nervous about what's to come and you haven't been able to connect with very many like-minded people yet, I understand that's a really hard thing to do. So I just wanted to remind people there's organizations like what I pulled up on the screen right now. I like the Freedom Cell Network. I like it because it happens to be mainly people that have the voluntarist type mindset. They want to break free from this great reset, and they don't want to use force over people who haven't done anything to hurt anyone else or take or damage anyone else's property. So I really like that. Of course, there's also the People's Rights. I've got links to all my sources, including the Freedom Cell Network and the People's Rights, in the description of this video, so make sure you check that out. Connect with some people in your area. Both of those are great ways to do that. Like I said, I've started a Freedom Cell here in Eastern Washington so that we can both connect, make sure we make connections with people that are like-minded, but also we can start helping each other establish this underground economy in our local areas. You know, the other thing about this is we got to start talking to these businesses about accepting other forms of currency. You know, this great reset, part of it is putting us on a central banking digital currency. So, you know, I'm a big fan of cryptocurrency. I think there's a lot of really neat things about it, but it can also be in the wrong hands. Cryptocurrencies can be very controlling, and we really have to watch out for that stuff. So, you know, it can be a catch-22, but some of them are very freeing. Monero, like I said, is completely anonymous. I really like that one. Just like all cryptocurrencies, the price of it has been going up quite a bit lately. So you might want to look into that. But it's about these businesses establishing other than fiat currency as well. We got to start talking to each other and businesses about that. Like if I provide something, I do woodworking. I used to do woodworking, and I'm going to start doing some more of it again. If I'm providing some woodworking and somebody wants to purchase some of that from me, I don't have to just accept fiat currency. I can accept Bitcoin. I can accept Monero. I can accept some Ethereum. I can, whatever cryptocurrency or whatever medium. It doesn't even have to be a cryptocurrency. If I need soap and someone has soap, maybe we can make an exchange there. Whatever commodity I might need, or whatever it is, that's the beauty of this, is we really just have to start figuring it out on our own and trying, and what works and what doesn't work. We've never really done this. Nobody has really done this for the most part. So we're figuring it out as we go. And that's kind of the beauty of this. Is for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I'm living free. I've always been told that I lived in a free country in the United States, and I should be proud to be free. And I guess I was, but now that I'm, for the first time in my life, letting go of that system that I was told was my freedom, and now I realize it was my slavery. I let go of that system, and I'm stepping outside of it. And for the first time in my life, even though we have all this stuff going on, I really feel liberated and free. So I really encourage everyone to do that. It really is a good feeling. So I was going to take some calls, but my DLive channel is pretty brand new. This is actually the first time I've ever gone live on it. So I don't know, there's not a whole lot of people even on this stream right now. I did see I got some new followers during this. Here we go. I got a few in here. Sorry about that. V is for voluntary. There we go. That's my boy, Gerard. Josie Gomez. All right. Well, glad to hear. Thanks. I'm glad it's all right. So anyways, I don't know what hopefully you guys heard quite a bit of what I was talking about. I'm not going to go on a whole lot longer here. Like I said, join the Freedom Cell Network. Get on to peoplesrights.org and join that as well. Those are both organizations that will help connect you with freedom-minded people in your area. So that's really important. What the heck? We'll try this out. I'm going to get my little phone set up here, and if anyone wants to call, I believe the phone number is on there. So if you want to call in and talk about, like I mentioned, with some of the bars in this area, I've contacted a couple of them that the liquor board has threatened to take their liquor license away. What does that look like in your area? What kind of threats are businesses or people already being threatened to be shut down by, like, the liquor control board or labor and industry in your area, whatever that may be? Do you know of any businesses that have been threatened like that? They're being threatened with fines or being shut down? And if so, what are they doing to try to survive? Are they just going to close down and pay the fines? Or has anybody in your area talked to them about how to survive underground, how to start building this underground economy, for them and yourselves to be able to thrive in your area? So, like I said, the number's on there. If anybody does want to call in, I've got the volume on my phone up. So we can have a little chat. You can talk about those things in your area or whatever you'd like to discuss. If nobody calls in, no big deal. We'll just hang out here for a little bit longer. Well, here, this is one story real quick. I want to pull this up. You're right, I did, my man. So this here, I just actually read this yesterday in this Colfax bar. So this is in Whitman County, just south of us, kind of down by Pullman. I think I might go try to visit them. But it sounds like they've been threatened. It says they've been cited here, but then further down in the article here, it just talks about that they decided to shut down after being threatened by fines and revocation of their liquor license for not complying. It gives the address, the owners here. It's the Hideout Bar and Grill on Main Street. So they got visited on December 1st by the Spokane-based Liquor and Cannabis Board Retail Liquor Enforcement Officer Dale Goldman. So Dale Goldman, he's another one we have to maybe go give a hard time with the megaphone down at the Liquor Control Board office here in Spokane, since that's where he came from. So it says Goldman issued the couple of citations citing authority under Washington State Administrative Code, blah, blah, blah. Establishments with a liquor license have the responsibility to control their conduct and the conduct of employees and patrons on the premises at all times. And so basically what they're saying right here, it also has another provision that suggests the couple engaged or allowed behavior that provokes conduct which prevents a threat to public safety. So they're trying to say because they let people in without masks and not social distancing, or just let people inside, that's a threat to public safety. Well, real quick, this doesn't have to do with the underground economy, but that's how we fight this stuff, is by understanding the language and everything they're used. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that by staying open that you are presenting a threat to public safety. And they can't really do that with the current statistics of coronavirus, with the death rate, the case rate, those kind of things, how many people aren't actually even exhibiting symptoms. Josie Gomez, the school thing, good question. So we have a little bit of an update. We've had some meetings with the administrators of his school. We're kind of in some negotiations. It looks like he might start going back to school, although he's telling me he doesn't really want to go back to school. I don't blame him for that. So that's something his mom and I will have to discuss. But basically, they are working out two different options for us for when they start bringing kids back to school, the gen ed population, what that's going to look like, and what Kellen's integration will be then. And then the other one is, if they don't do that, what's Kellen going to do? What they presented for us is that he would be with his special ed kids just for more of their class time. So that's not integration. And that was the big sticking point, is they wanted to call that integration. And I said, look, we can do that as an option. Like we can use that. If there's no integration option, we can use that, but we're not going to call that integration because it's not. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We had a meeting right before the school break started, the Christmas break started. So I'm gonna, after the Christmas break is over and school starts back up in January, then we'll start hitting that issue again. But we are starting to progress forward. I don't really want this to end in a lawsuit. I want them to be reasonable. But I did in my conversation, I am going to make a video about it. I did in my conversation with them, gain some pretty good knowledge about who is the ones making these decisions and who are the ones I'm going to have to start putting pressure on. Because if they're just going to be order followers, the administrators, there's no point in me putting pressure on them. I need to put pressure on the people who can actually make decisions, which, according to the principal of my son's school, is the school board, the members of the school board. So we're going to start putting some pressure on them to give us a choice to allow our kids to go back into school if we would like. So that's an update on that. I do appreciate you asking about that. All right, let me see here. All right, so I wanted to pull up. I kind of spaced it out. I was going to pull up one more thing here. Anyways, just about this bar. So, I'm probably going to try to go down maybe tomorrow. I don't have my kids until Christmas Day, so I might try to go down there and visit these guys tomorrow, or maybe make a phone call and see what they're doing to stand up and get their story and let them know there are people in the area that are willing to stand up. So, like I said, links to all my sources that I've used are in the description of these videos. I'm going to have them posted on all the platforms once I sign off this, so you can check it out everywhere. But I do encourage you guys every Wednesday. I'm going to try to do it at 7 Pacific time in the PM. A little bit late today because I actually, on my way home, I found out about another place that looks like maybe they're going to open. So I real quick went over, had a little bit of a delay because I wanted to go talk to them about their community backing them up and the different ways we could support them if they do decide to open. I really want to encourage people to do that and figure out what we can do, what they need the community to do for them to open. So that's why I was a little bit late tonight, but I plan on doing this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. If I'm going to be a little bit late, I'll make sure to put up a message either on Twitter or something so you guys can figure out exactly when. But I'm going to try to do it at 7 o'clock Pacific time every Wednesday. I hope you guys continue to join me. I thank you for all the support. Counter economy activities. That's a good comment there, V for voluntary. The group that I belong with, we did discuss at one point this fall and this summer having setting up kind of our own restaurant in just outside at a park. Sorry. So I it's kind of cold to do that right now, but maybe we can figure something like that out for the future, because that's a great idea, because it takes someone to lead, as we know. It's very hard for people to be out in the forefront of this stuff. So maybe if there's businesses don't have the courage really to stand up because they've already been hit really hard and they are scared about what's to happen. Sorry. We need to encourage them. So maybe we should do something as just a group to set an example of how people can stand up and start doing, activating this underground economy. That's perfect. Underground or counter economy activities. That's what we need to do, is activate it. So we should start brainstorming those. My email is questionableauthority@protonmail.com. If you guys have any suggestions for this, send them in. Like I said, this is new to all of us. We're just learning. So I appreciate any and all input that you guys have to offer. I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to cut this, but I hope you guys have an excellent rest of your evening. Don't forget to live free. And always record the ruling class predators. That's becoming more and more important, to record all of their actions as they try more and more to oppress us and take away our freedom. Have a good night. Thank you for supporting my work. Independent thought and journalism are under attack. If you want to fight censorship and promote independent thinking and freedom, we need your support. It's not just me. All truth-minded content creators are getting pushed off of the most popular and censorship-loving social media platforms. You can support me by making a donation of cryptocurrency. I have multiple wallets listed in the description of every video. If you still love your international banksters' fiat currency, I have links to PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App listed as well. If you're unable to donate in that fashion, consider signing up for Library, 3Speak, Hive, Steemit, DTube, or Minds using the links below, and earn some crypto for yourself and me by using my affiliate links. Then, you and I can both be earning decentralized cryptocurrency for you simply watching and interacting with my content.